not a crooked trail. If tomorrow.
Yeah, the town is, like I say, the population's only 2,000. One stoplight. If you turn north at that stoplight, you go right to. If you kept going, you go right up to the Mount Whitney portal. Seasons is a 5-star restaurant. Pretty unusual for a town this size to have a 5-star restaurant. But a lot of people on the way to Reno, which this is, $3.95. If you knew about Seasons, and they'll stop here for dinner and stay overnight. Lloyd's is the famous Western wear store where this shirt came from. On the left is the craft fair, which is every Columbus Day weekend, sort of in conjunction with the film festival. Lots of art, paintings, different kinds of crafts, food, some interesting things in there. The only market in town is Joseph's, and it's a very nice market. They have just a little bit of everything. If you're going, that's to a market, that's the only place you're going to find anything.
Well, there's beauty in the Silver St. River, beauty in the sunlight in the sky. None of these can match the beauty I remember in my true love's eyes. And if my true love was only waiting, if I could hear her heart softly pound.
Mount Whitney is the peak. This looks like the highest peak, but that's the Lone Pine Peak. Mount Whitney is that one right through there. Jagged one. That's 8 miles further north, further that way. That's why it looks like it's smaller, but it's 8 miles back. But that's the highest peak in the contiguous United States. The only other higher peak would be in Alaska. It's quite an area. It's an area like you'll never find anywhere. If you just stay on this road, you end up right at the portal of Mount Whitney. It's like 14 miles. Straight up. Well, not straight up, but up. The famous movie here is, of course, High Sierra with Humphrey Bogart, where he goes all the way up the Mount Whitney portal, and the police are tracking him. He's the famous criminal. How the West Was Won was filmed up here. The Great Race. There's a whole list of films. Brigham Young. But it's mostly famous for the old B-Westerns. The old cowboys. Which is, you can see, is just normal if you're watching a cowboy movie.
Ankle and Darby, that's the hand. Ankle and Darby. If they ask you where I am, say I'm in an awful jam. Send that babe to the county jail.
One of my favorite volunteering jobs is the Lone Pine Film Festival, which is held every year over the Columbus Day weekend in October. Lone Pine is a small town in central California at the base of Mount Whitney, which has the Alabama Hills. These are large rock formations that are just excellent for filming, especially westerns. And they started, the first feature film made there was The Roundup with Fatty Arbuckle in 1920. And since then, hundreds of films and commercials have been made in those hills. Hopalong Cassidy made almost every one of these films there. Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, Randolph Scott.
We really focused during the festival on the history of filming here in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. It's still a very active site, so it's being used all the time. The picture shows you the scene of the attack on the Rangers in the 38 serial. So you can see there's a guy up on that rock right there, and these rocks right here. So it's basically unchanged. The camera was probably up there, though, because you can see you're looking down on the horses' backs. And there's a scene over there that in Blue Steel where they run a wagon up the canyon, and we still can't figure out how they did it, but it actually happened in the movie because there are all these rocks to go bumping over. So I don't know how they did that.
They find a way in the movies. They always find a way.
They do.
Just the entire view with the rocks and the mountains behind. I mean, there's just nothing like it. How long did it take them to get up here to film?
You know, it would take a day, basically, depending. The road wasn't bad because thanks to the DWP building the aqueduct, a lot of our infrastructure was pretty good. The highways were good. There was rail connection. But Bill Whitney, who directed The Lone Ranger, told me that they would always stop at Red Rock Canyon on the trip up here and shoot some scenes, and then they could get paid for working. See, so that's why a lot of the Lone Pine films have Red Rock Canyon in them.
That's a gorgeous area too.
That is. So I was actually going to walk down.
Yeah,
this
I
way.
think so. Up here is the Autry Rock is up this way, right?
Yeah.
The whole group. There's a group of us, like 9, 10, 12. And on Sunday afternoon, we all come up here. A lot of them are photographers, and they come up here, and we shoot in different scenes against the rocks.
That's pretty weird, you know. I didn't want to say anything, but
What?
that's pretty weird coming up and reliving some of the scenes in the movies.
Yeah.
Well, that's what led to the idea of actually having a silent movie, I think. Because I do a lot of tours, and this lady said, "Oh my God, look!" And I went, "What?" She said, "It's an octopus." And I never now walk by that rock that I don't think it looks like an octopus.
Yeah, you're right. It does.
And I saw it in some movie. I don't know if it was that movie we looked at yesterday, Border Treasure, I think. They ride by, and I'm sure I could see part of that rock. So this is kind of like I kind of compare it to Times Square because so many movies shot scenes here going back and forth. But this rock is particularly famous as the Hopalong Cassidy rock. So we've given names to a lot of these rocks simply by how they're used in a particularly well-liked movie, I guess, is the criteria. So Hoppy worked here 31 times. And
I think Hoppy is probably the main cowboy here.
Yeah. Which is good because he was my favorite, so that worked out well.
Roy was always my favorite as a kid. Hoppy was right there too.
And the Hoppy movies are consistently pretty good.
Yeah.
You can identify this indentation because it's right there. Actually, probably it belongs more over in here is where they actually shot it because you get a little fuller view of the rock. Two different movies at two different times shot in the same area, and this is the Lone Ranger Canyon as well, and it makes a wonderful picture because of the mountains and the rocks, and it's great for riding up and swinging around, and I think the curve even is aesthetically very pleasing. So a lot of times there'd be action coming up here and they would shoot it this way and then shoot it reverse going on up that way up into the Gene Autry rock. So we see a lot of that Border Treasure also had a big long scene where it was shot from back there behind the Gene Autry rock, and you can see the Gene Autry rock. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, I didn't.
It was quite spectacular. I think Tim Holt did a lot of work in these areas. These rocks you'll see in a lot of those early John Waynes as well. And they kind of anchor this whole area. So when we see those rocks in a still, we know approximately where to look for the exact location. There's 3 rocks, boulders right in a row up there. When we walk up this little hill, you'll see those. So that's pretty cool as well. There again, because it's high, you can see it from all around, and so it helps us figure out where to start looking for a location. Silent Conflict, the Hoppy rocks, and he and California Carlson are hiding from the bad guys who come sweeping around. So that's why we call those the Hoppy rocks. It's always kind of fun to see that.
When you have earthquakes, rocks that look almost loose, did they ever move?
I think they probably do. There's one case over here where there's a road that we used to use in the early film festivals, and its giant boulder went Blanc right across it. And the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, that kind of oversees this area, their attitude is, oh, look, the wildlife coming. Their attitude is, if nature makes it happen, then we won't undo it. So that rock now blocks that road forever, basically. It would be hard to move because it was huge. I have no idea how much it would weigh, but it was quite big. But it kind of fell over. This is Errol Flynn and Kim. It's a publicity still. In other words, this scene is not in the movie, but they used this location for a scene in the movie, and then they shot this. So he's on his horse right there. It's kind of later in his career. There again, this is just some of the things that have shot here.
Well, in yesterday's Hoppy movie, it was Outlaws of the Desert. It was Arabia.
Yeah. That is also a Errol Flynn shot. So up here is where we should go, probably.
Yeah.
Gene Autry Rock.
It's called the Gene Autry Rock because there's a famous scene from Boots and Saddles with Gene Autry and Smiley Burnett. But it could be called Brigham Young Rock because there's a famous picture of Tyrone Power and Linda Darnell here on horseback looking over, I guess, Utah, looking for a place to start Salt Lake City.
Right.
Or it could be called Gunsmoke Ranch Rock because the Three Musketeers are here. And there's a kid about to draw a gun on them. Shark Fin, and Shark Fin is where we did a FedEx commercial that was very successful and was used in the Super Bowl and finally won an award, I think, for the best commercial of the year. And then this area was where they did a lot of work on two movies. One was How the West Was Won, and the other was Tremors, where they're pole vaulting from rock to rock. And because God in his wisdom, or her wisdom, didn't plant the rocks quite in the right place for the stuntmen to go from rock to rock, they had to bring fake rocks, which led to all the locals say, oh yeah, like we don't have enough rocks, they have to bring Hollywood rocks. And then How the West Was Won was shot over there, and then Mel Gibson's Maverick was right behind these rocks in this one particular scene that never made it into the movie, but it was a very complex set, and it was on different pieces of rock, and there were these bridges swinging from one to the next. It was amazing, and it was sad because it wasn't used in the movie ultimately, but we have lots of pictures of that.
Oh, Mount Whitney is the peak straight ahead. That's Lone Pine Peak, just to the left here.
So this is such a cool canyon. This is so
nice.
neat. Oh, that was just a great canyon. We were thinking it'd be a great spot where we can like get a video of them loping up through those little things.
It's been done many, many times.
I know, but see, we need to do it ourselves.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It'll be done many more times.
Yeah.
So we'll just go out here and then we'll turn right on the movie road. I've just gotten, I always loved movies, so I got interested in the festival from the beginning, and then when I retired, the guy who was being the film commissioner was not doing much of a job, and I just started doing the job, and then I turned it into an actual film commission, and the county, funds it now. I mean, I tell the county I would do it for free, because I really love working with the film people. They're just very creative, and you get to meet a lot of famous people, which is fun. I just love the whole process here. There's a lot of filming in the Alabama Hills, but there's filming other places as well in the county, in Death Valley, and even in northern Inyo County near Bishop. So it's kind of fun and diverse, and there's usually something happening pretty frequently.
This the road?
Yes, this is the movie road. Why don't we just drive around and we'll go by the Great Race site. And then Meatloaf did a music video here. So this is often called Meatloaf now, this particular area. There's a round ball there, and then those are the bowling pins. But it's where they shot the gravesite scene from Rawhide with Tyrone Power and Susan Hayward. This is where I wanted to be. It was an Ida Lupino directed film in the 50s, and Ida Lupino was really one of the very few female directors working in the 50s. She had been here for High Sierra, which she starred in, and it's the story of a psychopath who is hitching rides with people and killing them based on a true story. So she used this area quite a bit to play, I think, Mexico. So this is what we call cattle pocket, because they would be able to put a fence somewhere in here and be able to keep the cattle up there at night and then just open up in the morning. But this is where in Under Western Stars there's a famous scene with Carol Hughes and Roy Rogers. And then over there there's a scene from a Hoppy movie where Gabby Hayes, who was called Windy in those movies, nearly is killed in a landslide. And then California Carlson is almost sacrificed by Indians on that flat rock right in front of that white truck there. And right here, Randolph Scott kills
Lee Marvin.
Yes, Lee Marvin. You just saw that, huh?
Yeah.
And so on. Stick with me.
Learned about this location in Lone Pine long after I'd been going to other film festivals that didn't give you the opportunity to come out here and visit the actual locations where the stars were and stand where they were and find the rock they were in. Then if you look right up over the top of them, you'll see the next little group of rocks, with this one being prominent right here. Dave Holland tells the story that back during the Civil War, the Confederate ship Alabama was having real good luck sinking Yankee ships. And there were miners out here mining for gold at that time that were Southern sympathizers. So because of all the victories the Alabama was having, the ship, Confederate States of America ship, they named the hills the Alabama Hills, and the name has stuck. Stagecoaches have ridden up and down this road. Bandits have jumped off the rocks on top of the stagecoach to hold it up. Model A's have driven through here. It goes on and on and on and on. We're looking at a location where John Wayne filmed a movie called Lawless Range in 1935. And he and Glenn Strange ride up from the right up here and stop, dismount. And the rock with a little curvy, and we can get a better angle on it, that is serving as an entrance to the cave where the outlaws are hidden. And they go inside, and John Wayne is posing as an outlaw, and unfortunately he's found out when he's in there, and they tie him up. But there's an old fellow in there who owns the ranch that they're trying to steal, so they get loose and they come out and ride away. But the interesting thing is, this was 1935, and that same year another studio came out with Johnny Mac Brown and used that same set of rocks as an entrance into a silver mine. And in that movie, the bad guys would catch lone cowboys. Johnny Mac Brown is captured, and being the hero in the movie, he does manage to escape. But twice in the same year, that same little location was used there by different studios. And that's a mystery to me, how you see different movies filmed at the same location, and there's no marker here that says this is a great location, come back and shoot here. Maybe director or locationists just have an eye for that type thing. 2 Gene Autry films were shot here in about the same period of time, Coming Around the Mountain and Rootin' Tootin' Rhythm. And it's filled in now, but right in front of that false cave entrance was a little thing called a dugout. It dug out down in the ground, and initially it had a roof over it, like little bunks in there, sort of a little temporary place to stay. But it's been filled in, but there's still a lot of the plaster of Paris or where it used to be there. If you like, Woody and I can walk up there and show you how that looks like a cave entrance.
Okay. That's...
Come on, Glenn, let's walk this way. Hello, partner.
Got my quick gun. Yeah, come on.
Is this the place?
That's it. He's right in there.
Here he comes now.
Well, that was exciting, wasn't it? You just don't normally find caves that deep that go so far back in there, do you, Woody?
No,
That's just
that's a
truly
nice
amazing.
hideout.
Really is. They could put hundreds of cowboys in there. Take a look at how deep this thing is in here. You'd be amazed.
That's it.
And that's all there is. At least twice that I'm aware of, as once is the entrance to a cave, and the next time is the entrance into a silver mine. And in the same year, 1935. This little shot here shows John Wayne and Glenn Strange, who I believe later became Sam the bartender on the long-running Gunsmoke series. And these days, he was always a bad guy. But they're right where these rocks are, exactly right there, walking just as Woody and I did, just out of camera view into that opening between the rocks. Woody, you know, the one thing that I find common among the folks who love this and love the old movies, they always go back to their childhood and their first memories of going to a theater and basically boys seeing westerns. And it always seems to come back, and the common denominator seems to be a quarter. That varied with different people in different towns where they live. And on Saturdays, Fridays and Saturdays were the Western times, and we always went. The movie theater opened at noon, and if I was lucky enough to get a quarter or go round up soda bottles, if you can remember in those days, and take them, you got a 2 cents back for everyone you brought. Get my quarter. That was the magic number for some reason. When you were under 12 years of age, and this would have been when I was 9, 10, and 11, you could get in for 9 cents. Walk through the door, and here's this absolutely magic concession counter with popcorn smells and candy smells. Oh boy. And you got 2 Western movies, you got a cartoon, a comedy, a serial chapter, previews, and Pathé News. And when it was, and you could watch it over and over again. They didn't come in like they do today in the Cineplex. Okay, you have to leave now. You only get one showing for your $15. Get out. We've got a new crowd coming in. But that's what a quarter would buy back in the late 40s and early 50s, and I don't know how I could ever get that much entertainment today for 100 times that amount of money. And the other thing too, Woody, you probably did this too, on the way home, okay, you be Gene Autry and I'm going to be so-and-so. We would play out the movie all the way home, and the fights, you know, and all that kind of stuff, and it was just the most entertainment you can ever imagine for 25 cents. But that every film festival, ever long before I came out here, not back to 1975, when a group of people would gather, that subject would come up, and I think that's the tie that binds the people, not necessarily the ones that come here just this weekend, but the people that go to the festivals over and over, and it's really something they enjoy. It's that 25 cents is the common denominator.
You know the amazing thing up here? We were down there looking this way, which I guess is north.
West.
West?
That's due west.
But if you come over here and you look this way, everything looks different.
And you know, that may be one of the things that the people love. They could set all that equipment up in one location and turn 180 degrees, and they could make it look like they'd gone to Nevada. This is a big filming location. I guess the most famous thing here were big battle scenes with hundreds of extras dressed in white bed sheets for Gunga Din. There was a huge battle scene here. I think the first thing I'm aware of that's filmed here is around the corner from where Woody is now. It was a 1925 Tom Mix movie, the title Riders of the Purple Sage. That's the earliest thing I'm aware of filmed in here, but it's just used hop-along casting movies just over and over and over again. I think it's an easy place to park all the equipment and the vehicles out here. And as Woody pointed out, you turn the full 360 degrees and you have a different view, and it looks like you've maybe moved miles away, and you truly haven't had to move anything. It's the most open out here. Most of the other places we're going to go to are confined and closed in, and canyons or places like that, but this is very wide open. John Wayne was back here again. In 1947, he comes back here for a real big budget Technicolor movie called Tycoon. And in that movie, these mountains are the Andes. And they're drilling a tunnel for a railroad through the Andes, if you can imagine such a story. And he's here with Lorraine Day, Anthony Quinn, and a lot of other actors, big budget movie. And we walk around here, you'll see an opening between two of these big rocks where they built a huge facade across there to look like a mine entrance and actually put an opening there. All this had construction shacks out here, living quarters for the miners and that type of thing. And I've often wondered if John Wayne ever remembered 12 years ago when I was basically a nobody, I was pretending that was a cave in a B-Western. Here I am back now, the lead actor in a big budget movie. And look how far I've come, or if it even made the connection. I've talked to so many of the actors, and you're looking for some little personal story about, oh, I remember this, that. It was just a job to me. I don't remember. One dang rock looks like another rock, and it, it's got, you can't feel that way about these rocks. They're so special. But it was just a job. Where Woody's standing now, saw a little white debris on the ground down here. That's part, I don't know if it's plaster of Paris or I think it's gunite that they line swimming pools with. They use to simulate the rocks and then spray paint them for the color, but that was part of that little dugout that was in the ground. And they built a facade, and we can see it when we come around the corner. All this is fake between two huge rock outcroppings down here. And the storyline is they're trying to drill a tunnel through the Andes Mountains for a railroad. And they just keep running into rock slides, and all kind of terrible bad things are happening to them. There's still evidence down there of them setting up that huge facade. There are big steel bolts still in the rocks where they strung across there to put the plaster of Paris or gunite on there and make it look like it's real. And those are still there from 1947. And you find nails all over the place. And they're from the movie sets that were built out here for this particular movie. And because there were so many structures built here, there are more nails per foot out here than I guess anywhere in the Alabama hills. It's just littered with them. In the movie, the leader of this group is wearing a business suit, as I remember, and his henchmen all have these uniforms on. And these are two uniform guys down here. This is definitely shot here, because this is this side of the Skull Rock. This eye-looking thing right down here is right there, and you can see the rock in the background right underneath Lone Pine Peak, the one next to it, the one to the right of it, and this shot was probably a little more that way, but we're just about exactly where this was shot. And this is William Whitney up here that directed the serial with the camera pointed straight down. And to my knowledge, which is limited, that's the only time this really unique piece of rock out here like that has ever shown up in a movie. Now maybe some of the newer things that were shot out here that were not big budget productions or something like that used it for some. But Rip Roaring Buckaroo, the Tom Tyler movie I mentioned to you, I was surprised to find, and it was filmed I think 1936, before the Lone Ranger serial. It has scenes shot over in Lone Ranger Canyon before it became Lone Ranger Canyon in 1938. Well, actually, I guess it didn't become Lone Ranger Canyon in 1938 because Dave Holland named it when he started coming up here. Most of these names out here, as you probably know, Woody, go back to Dave coming up here.
Yeah, Dave was the beginning. Dave Holland was the beginning of it all.
He would vacation up here 10 to 12 years before the festival because he worked as a location person in Hollywood and went out finding locations, and once he would find them and could tie them to a movie, then he would give them a name. Here, just between it and the small rock, there's a small opening in there, looks like 3 or 4 feet wide. Again, that's another cave, tunnel, mine exit, and in the morning when the young man who went in here, he exits over there.
Convenience.
I guess it is, and maybe time of day and lighting and all. but it makes it a little bit difficult for folks trying to find the exact location.
But that's why you like it.
That's why I like it. If it was easy, it wouldn't be fun. In fact, right where I'm standing now, Tom Tyler shot a film here, Rip Roaring Buckaroos, in 1936. He was camped here after losing his job on the ranch, and the girl in the movie comes to find him. This place is just so special, and it's just a fun hobby. That's all it is a hobby. And be able to match these sites up with the stills, and there's just so many locations like that out here. I look forward to this each year coming out here. I hope to keep coming as long as I'm able, because I will never ever find all the locations out here, because I don't even have an idea how many films were filmed here or scenes were shot here, but many. There are 3 passes that go up that way, and over again, right up that way, right down this way.
A ton of movies.
Yep, John Wayne blew a wagon up in that area. I'm not sure where you would define the boundaries, but this area coming down this way and into here is what Dave defined as the Lone Ranger Canyon.
And even today, they're still filming there. Iron Man filmed at Lone Pine.
I humbly present the Jericho.
Big films like Bad Day at Black Rock with Spencer Tracy and High Sierra with Humphrey Bogart. It's a great little town. The festival runs every year, and one of my favorite things is I volunteer there to show the films. We turn the high school auditorium into a little theater. It has 300 seats. I handle all the video projection, and another group handles the 16mm projection. We show films from Friday through Sunday all day, so it's a very exciting time for me.
Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the storm when we're together?
Just sing a song and bring us sunny weather.
Happy trails to you till we meet again.
Popcorn movies.
The Cliffhangers is a group of young men my age who watch old black and white movies mostly, and serials called Cliffhangers.
We're from all different backgrounds. My background is theaters and video and working in the movie theaters. Animators, retired animators.
I've never had a real job my entire life. You want to pay me to do this, draw cartoons? Heck, where do I sign up?
Fish truck drivers, there's retired school teachers, retired newspaper man, a retired singer. But somehow the movies bring us together. We talk about films, old films, new films, stars.
There's my buddy, Gene Autry, one of my favorites.
Marilyn Monroe, what more can we want in life?
I want to be the guy that's in that movie with that girl.
It's just like a Saturday matinee as a kid. It brings you back to your childhood. If I was a good kid, I'd get 25 cents to go to the movie, to get lunch, to buy candy with, and popcorn, and see 25 cartoons, 3 movies, and a couple of movie serials.
We had a thing called a news cinema, and they were perfect for children. They lasted an hour. And it was a little paradise of mine.
Don't tell me I'm too old. I'm not too old.
Boy, it was like a left hook that dropped me right to the ground. Lateral Parkinson's disease on my right side. I'm going to watch my career disintegrate right in front of my eyes.
I like it all. There's nothing in Hollywood not to like.
Popcorn spill on aisle 12.
They're all characters. They all have their own thing. Rocky feeds the dogs. Jack orders movies every other week. He's got thousands and thousands of movies.
Don't talk about religion. Well, I think they're all kind of religious. I think
Hey, thank God for every good picture we ever made. Boy, if you're going through anything, don't give up.
We're there not only for the movies, but a lot of it is just camaraderie, friendship, and being a member of the Cliffhangers. And next thing you know, there's a whole buffet of life in that house. Everything you would want in life is there.
These films, just like the Cliffhangers, have somehow stood the test of time. They have faithfully brought us together, reinforced our brotherhood, and connect our present lives with our memories of yesterday.
Find the passion in here and go do it.